we've got about 35 people online, so great. For some of you online, I'm Bill Holder, chapter president, and really the goal here is to have fun, and then also on your way home say it was an hour well spent. Let me see if I got any. There might be somebody on mute there. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Jim, and Jim's in our chapter, and of course, Adam is with the insurance group with the Corvette Museum. Jim and Adam, huge amount of time putting this presentation together. Both of them have worked through all the questions they think that most people would have an interest in. But if you have a question during the presentation, feel free to ask it, or at the end of the presentation, ask it, because it really was interactive. That's what we want. So with that, why don't I turn it over to Jim? And for most of the time, I will have Adam spotlighted, so most people will see Adam versus you. But go ahead and introduce yourself.
That's a good idea, Bill. I'd rather be heard than seen. So most everybody knows me here. I'm Jim Sahrman. My residence is actually Naples, Florida, but I come up here because all my kids live up here, and to see all my Corvette buddies up here. So I appreciate the opportunity as always. Just a quick shout out. Wanted to say hi to my big brother, Tom is there. He does not have a Corvette. He drives a fiberglass car, but it's a 65 Cobra. So don't boo him. He's a good guy. So hi to Tom. Also, Bob and John from Corvettes in Naples up there somewhere. And I wanted to say hi to Hutch. Hutch is the president of the Grand Sport Registry, so we invited him. And I think Corey Peterson with Corvette #1 is up there somewhere. And his IT guy, Steve, is up there, I see. So good to see them. So now to get on with the presentation. So Adam, how are you this evening? And if you want to give us a little introduction, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate everybody joining in. My name is Adam Boca, and I am the executive director of NCM Insurance at the National Corvette Museum. I started this agency for us in 2009, and it's just been a
recording in progress
business as part of the National Corvette Museum, and it's great to be here. A little background on myself: I started at the museum straight out of high school, and I was just obsessed with the hobby, obsessed with the car, the museum, and then just all the excitement that surrounded it. I saw a whole bunch of C5 Corvettes in prototype fashion driving around town, and I was like, what are those? And so I just completely learned everything I could about the car, the history, figured out where the engineers hung out and drank. And then I ended up writing a research paper in high school. And, part of that research paper was on this new car that nobody really knew much about. That research paper ended up in the desk of General Motors president, and then also the executive director at the museum, at the time, Wendell Strode. And Wendell invited me to start volunteering at the museum. And I probably have about 1,000 hours of volunteer time when I was 17 and 18 before I was offered a full-time, or before I was offered a job. But started off in the museum delivery department, delivered a whole bunch of Corvettes to their owners, and then moved my way into the events department, where I was one of our event planners, really made the connections with our customers. And then this opportunity just fell on my lap. Nobody expects, I don't think many of us who are in this business ever intend to get into insurance, but it really fell on my lap, and very, very fortunate to do what I do and to serve who we serve. So,
who are the policies insured through, Adam?
Yeah, so it's a great question, because a lot of times people think that we are the underwriter, the agency that writes or administers the policy itself. We're not. We're an agency. So we have 3 carriers that we place coverage with, and that's American Modern. They're our primary carrier. We have about 45,000 cars insured with them. We have Haggerty. We're one of their largest agencies, and the reason why we have Haggerty, a lot of people think they're competition, but there are certain states that we just don't offer coverage through American Modern in, and that would be like Hawaii, Alaska, North Carolina, Massachusetts. And then we also offer a product for a new company called Open Road, and we're one of their largest agencies as well. We're absolutely American Modern's largest.
So what kind of items? Obviously Corvettes. What else do you insure?
Yes, so it's a big there's a huge misconception in the Corvette world that we only insure Corvettes, and we try to mitigate that. 60% of our book is Corvette, the rest of it's other stuff. So that's that Daytona or that Cobra that Tom has, all the way up to a brand new Ferrari, brand new Lamborghinis, McLarens. We insure we insure 2 Ferrari F40 LMs, and there's only 12 of those produced. We insure several hundred, or I wouldn't say several hundred, we have about 20 total F40s that we insure, Enzos, Porsches, 65 Mustangs. I mean, you anything that's considered a collector car or exotic car, we can insure it.
But something on water.
Yeah, no, I have not gotten to that. So we can do boats, we can do watercraft, yachts. The only exception to that is if you're in Florida, unfortunately. We do some motorcycles. We have a collector motorcycle program, and then we have a modern motorcycle program. We also do some HPDE, so high performance driver education event coverage, which is a great product because there's no auto policy out there that'll cover anybody while on a racetrack. So that's even including parade laps. So just note that. We do some umbrella policies, and we also do car club liability and directors and officers coverage.
Okay, I know we're going to talk about umbrella policies, but not right now. Let's go back to that parade lap, because I heard a couple oohs in the background here. So explain that one more time.
Yeah, so if your wheels enter any type of racing surface, so that could be the staging lanes to a drag strip to on the drag strip, but then also, say for instance, you're in Bowling Green at our motorsports park. There is no coverage that, again, from any auto policy out there that will cover you while on the racing surface. So that's staging lanes to the actual pit row, and then while on the actual circuit itself. Now you do have coverage to and from the event, and then there's coverage inside of the paddock. So that's where all the cars are parked with the trucks and the semis or whatever it may be. But there's no physical coverage while on the racetrack.
So if I go to Bloomington Gold and it's at Mid-America Speedway, and they're going to allow me to do a couple laps with my Corvette, my insurance does not cover those laps.
That is correct.
Okay.
And again, that's not just with us. That is with any automobile policy out there.
It's good to know.
Absolutely.
And then also too, talk a little bit more about if we decide to do a independent car show here that would be other than NCRS members, that you would have a policy for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So even if you don't have a standard auto policy or a car club liability policy with us, there are coverages available for those stationary type events. So the car shows where you have guests that come in and walk around your cars. We do have options for that. We would not write that in-house. We would actually just tell you to go to our website, which is, I think it's fastcov.com, and you can purchase that standalone event directly on the website, directly from the actual insurance company. It's not a policy that we would handle for you.
Okay.
And those are pretty inexpensive. So, I mean, a couple $100, for a single day event, 1,000 people that would attend with no alcohol being served.
Yeah, I was really surprised when you said that number.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Can you tell me the difference between stated and agreed value and how important that is?
It's extremely important that those two terms get mixed up all the time. And so stated value is nowhere near the same type of policy as an agreed value policy. So stated value you find with the traditional big box type companies. That says that the insurance company will pay up to the stated amount that you state. So if you read up to, there's a huge gap there. So 10 years ago, you insured that car for $40,000. The insurance company can depreciate the value of the vehicle, even though you're paying a premium on that. Typically, those are 6-month type policies. You will not find that in the collector vehicle insurance space, whether that's with us or somebody else.
If you want to see it all, you need a
is
car
we
that
agree
can go
upon
the
it.
distance.
We agree that value that you want is representative of the vehicle that you're wanting to insure. And that's what you would get if you ever had a total loss. So it's that nice peace of mind of knowing exactly what you would get. I should also add, minus any deductible that you could have. So if you had a $500 deductible and you agreed on $40,000, obviously you would get $39,500, for that.
So when the C8s were at their peak and I could actually buy one and sell it and make money, you only insure it for whatever the sticker, the MSRP is for that vehicle?
So
Does that make sense?
if you purchase it for sticker, then we would insure it for the out the door price. So
Yes.
tax, title, license, that's what we would insure it for. Now, if you're one of those guys who is just extremely fortunate and you just bought that brand new ZR1 and the dealership's charging $200,000 markup, if you can provide us a bill of sale for that $400,000 purchase, we will insure it for that $400,000 value. And we just did one today, which is
Well, don't wait for
mind-blowing.
my email on that, okay? Because that ain't
Right.
gonna happen. It won't happen at my house, I'll tell you that. So what's the first step? Now, when
right.
I was lucky that Mike Hanley here in our group told me years ago, hey, Jim, you need to check out the museum insurance. So it's changed a little bit. So what's the first step now to get your car quoted?
Yeah, absolutely. So we recommend for everybody to start on the website. And I know there's kind of a mental block that sometimes gets in people's way. If you start on our website, you're going to get all of your information into all of our systems in one shot. It'll take us about 15 or 20 minutes to enter that quote, and then we'll email it off to you or whoever it may be. And that is the time that we can then really discuss the quote and get into the details with you to make sure that, one, we're matching the coverages that you carry on the liability piece from your daily auto policy, or that we're satisfying an umbrella policy, which we'll talk about in a bit. But those are the times to where we can really get into the weeds with you and hopefully get the premium down or just meet the need that you have. If you do it on the going to take a little while. There's just a lot of questions that we have to ask, and then we get stories all the time, and it's a great thing. But we also receive about 1,800 calls a week, and I have a team of 16 people, so it's high volume. So if we can minimize some of that phone time, do the quote first, get it off to you, and then we can really drill down in the details on the quote.
Okay, and I don't know if this is the time to talk about it, but stated mileage. So my first year I did 3,000 miles and I only drove 2,000. So that 1,000 rolled over to the next year.
Yep, that's exactly right. So we have 3 different mileage plans with American Modern and then also Open Road. Hagerty is unlimited mileage, but our 3 mileage plans with American Modern and Open Road are 1,000, 3,000, and 6,000 miles. So, if you're like Jim or somebody else, and you have that C8 that you just drive, 6,000 miles, then let's put it on the 6,000 mile plan. And as you mentioned, any unused miles do roll over year to year. That's self-managed. It's something that you handle personally. We get your starting odometer. Every year that you're going to get X miles, and you can just quickly do the math. So if we ever need to adjust the mileage plan, then we absolutely can. And then if you have that older Corvette, I got a 69 convertible in the garage, and that we're lucky to get 100 miles a year on that car, and we have it in for the 1,000 mile plan. So you can really fine tune that quote per vehicle. And that's where you end up saving quite a bit of money.
100 miles a year, that's high mileage for most of the people in this room.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Me included on that one. So
yeah.
if I'm in 2 states and I have 2 Corvettes, I somehow end up with 2 policies.
That's correct. So insurance is dependent upon the state in which the vehicle is registered. So we have to satisfy the state that the vehicle is registered in, and we report to each state. So we want to make sure that if your vehicle is registered in Florida, that it's got a Florida automobile policy. If it's registered in Missouri, then it needs to satisfy the Missouri policy. Now, we can apply multi-policy discounts, so you can save a little bit of money there. But the real savings is when you have vehicles on one policy, and you have multiple collector cars. So I'll give you an example. My '69 Corvette, I think we have it insured for $40,000, and I think we paid $272 a year for it at the 1,000-mile plan. I had a '72 Suburban, and I insured that for $30,000 and 3,000 miles because I drove it cross country a couple of years ago, and it added $95 to the overall annual premium. I also had a '84 Ferrari 308 it was a frat house find. Literally, if you search the internet for frat house Ferrari, you'll find the story on this car. But I paid nothing for it, added it to the policy, and it was less than $100. So you pay the liability on the policy level, and then every car underneath it, you just pay the comprehensive and collision premiums on. So that's really where you save quite a bit of money.
Okay. And can you cover some of the discounts that are available for the policies?
Absolutely. So you all are either members of NCRS or NCCC. I see some NCCC faces on here. And so there's memberships if you're a member of the museum, NCCC, NCRS, AAA. So there's a car club association discount that can only be applied once, and it's the same discount no matter where you're a member at. So it's the same, and so that's a great discount. There's also multiple other discounts, whether if you took an accident prevention course through say AARP or improv driving, there are that accident prevention course discount. If you're in Pennsylvania, Delaware, there's a couple of other states that discount is impactful. It's a big discount in most cases, or in a lot of cases. And those are pretty cheap. They're like $20. They last 3 years, and it's like 3 hours of your time to do it online. There's a pay in full discount, homeowners discount, violation free discount, garaging discounts galore. So if your house is made out of masonry and you have a alarm system in the garage or a camera system, there are discounts for that. NCRS, we know that you guys require the battery disconnect switches, so there's a discount for that as well. A lot of anti-theft discounts. So there's quite a bit of discounts on our online form, and then when you speak with our team, we really hone in to make sure that you're getting that best possible premium.
Brought up a question. One of my friends in Florida he's in a condo. He keeps his Corvette under a carport, so he had a hard time getting it insured because it's not in a locked garage.
Right. Yeah, and you'll find that kind of is a standard theme across all the collector vehicle insurance companies. We can do some carports and some open type garages, but they're pretty hard and they get a little expensive. If you're coastal, don't even try. It's not the carriers won't even consider it, unfortunately.
And obviously alarm systems. And
alarm. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, whether it's a monitor alarm or a local alarm, there's 2 different discounts available.
Right. So if the bad guys get in my Corvette and disable the alarm, I still have, and don't anybody listen to this, I still have my luggage AirTag hidden in my car. So that will
Yeah.
act as kind of a backup. And I also have that on my jet skis in case somebody decides they want them more than I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you and I, we even talked about the AirTag piece. And if you're an Apple owner, you'll get a notification if that AirTag is not registered to you. So I recommend putting two AirTags in the car. One that is fairly easy to find, and that way the thief thinks that they found the only AirTag. The other one, I would hide. I would hide it really well, and then that way at least you have a backup to the one that could be tossed out the window.
Now, I wasn't going to give that information out, Adam, but you've already spilled the beans. So all the bad guys are going to be rooting through my car trying to find that second AirTag. So,
right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Good luck, right?
Can you go over the policy coverages, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess one thing I'll say, going back to the question about speaking with our team, we have 16 total individuals on my staff, all amazing people. So we have customer service reps, digital support specialists, we have agents, we have underwriters, and so anybody within our team can assist with almost any question that anybody has. I'm unfortunately just on the phone as much as I used to be, managing the business, and we have an announcement we're going to make in the next probably month or so about a move back to campus. I kind of spilled the beans to you guys on that one, but so speak with anybody on our team. Everybody will help you out. So the question again was, I'm sorry, Jim.
Policy coverages?
Yeah, absolutely. So standard policies, it's like any other normal auto policy out there with regard to bodily injury, uninsured, underinsured, all highly critical coverages to have on a policy. We always match what you carry on your daily auto policies. We don't want there to be any sort of gap or difference in coverage. It just protects you. It also protects us. If we were to sell you a lower policy and something was to happen, we don't want to be we don't want that exposure. So if you carry, say, 100, 300, that's what we're going to carry as well. There's, like I said, the complete bodily injury, uninsured, underinsured. So if you get hit by somebody that has no insurance or not enough insurance, then we want to make sure that you're protected as well. If you don't carry uninsured and underinsured, I can't sell you it, unfortunately. I'm a huge advocate of it. I'm a huge fan of it. I use this quite frequently as a teaching moment. My wife was involved in an accident by a drunk driver. My mother-in-law was unfortunately killed in that accident. And without uninsured and underinsured, the recovery would be quite a bit less than what it was. It's a super important coverage. I'm a huge advocate and a huge fan of it. And people don't need to skimp on coverage. We see is a lot of times people will carry this, high number for bodily injury, but then, and that's protecting others, but you're not protecting. A lot of times people aren't protecting yourself or your occupants the same that you're protecting somebody who you don't know. So I would urge everybody to take a look at their coverages, make sure it's similar or equal to what you carry on your bodily injury coverage. States that allow stacking, we can do that. We have personal injury protection in most states, and medical payments. It's all dictated by the departments of insurance on what can and can't be offered and the limits that are available.
And Adam, when I rent a car from, ABC Car Rental or Enterprise or whomever, do I need to buy their insurance on a normal run-of-the-mill car? Now, I'm not talking about a specialty item, a specialty
Sure.
vehicle, but just a normal car.
Yeah, so I'll answer this two different ways. I don't purchase the insurance when I rent a rental car. I know that my standard insurance will apply to that rental car. I've asked that question. I've made sure that it's in writing. The collector vehicle policy will not extend to the rental car, but the normal auto policy will extend in most cases. You'll want to have that discussion with your agent.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
My tenders on a car in a garage.
We're gonna get to tenders in just a minute. Thanks, Mike. Residing in Florida, I got an email last year from your office offering a relocation fee for my C8, and I thought was a great idea and very proactive.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we've really kind of built this model to make sure that our customers are taken care of before an event occurs. And so one of the great things that most of these carriers offer, all of them actually offer a relocation reimbursement. And it's better to pay to move the car to higher, drier, safer ground than it would be to total the vehicle out. And so typically our approach is if once the storm is named, I quickly come up with the email, hit send, and blast it out to everybody in that state. So that way, it's a reminder of that coverage is available, and two, that we ultimately have your back. On the flip side, shouldn't say on the flip side, once the storm is over, we generally are able to hone into exactly who could have been affected, and then we individually reach out post-storm as well, just to see if they're okay. That's our first care, is make sure that they're okay, and then what can we do to help? And that's really been a great feature of working with our agencies. We care about you, we care about your car, and we want to make sure that everybody is protected in the end. And if you see some cat fur coming up like on the screen, I apologize. My cats are extremely interested in what's going on.
My next item was exclusions, and we've kind of already covered racing and on-track events. So obviously that would be excluded. My next question to you, Adam, is I'm trailering my Trailer Queen Corvette to a car show, and the Corvette is covered by the NCM Insurance. However, if I'm involved in an accident that involves my truck and trailer and the car, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and even if you're hauling somebody else's vehicle, the liability, it falls on the vehicle that's towing the trailer. So if you hit somebody with that trailer, the Corvette insurance, the Corvette inside of it, the policy for it is not going to pay for the damages to somebody else's vehicle. The truck liability will pay for the damage caused by the truck and the trailer. We obviously are covering the vehicle for any damage that it may be, the collector vehicle for any damage that may have happened or incurred on that vehicle. But so you would have two different coverages that you would be playing against: the standard auto policy that covers the truck, and then the collector vehicle policy that covers the collector vehicle.
Okay, and we had a lot of discussion about umbrella policies, and can you explain the benefits of umbrella policy, and do you offer that?
Yeah, absolutely. So our umbrella program first is exclusively online. It's 10 questions roughly. You can knock it out in less than a minute in most cases. Now, an umbrella is just as it sounds. So you have your home, your standard autos, your collector vehicles, you may have rental property, you may have other assets that you need to protect. And an umbrella essentially is a shield above all of those individual policies that extends above and beyond what, say, the liability limits are. So if your umbrella requires 100, 300 to satisfy it, it will pick up at $101,000, and it will pay up to whatever the limits you choose on that umbrella policy. Personally, I have $1 million umbrella. I know others have 10 or 2, 5, 10, 20, $50 million in umbrellas. Obviously, you're going to pay for it the higher that you go, but it's extremely cheap. It just provides an extra layer of protection that really covers your assets in the event something was to happen or somebody was to fall on your property. We're big advocates of that. We don't sell a whole lot of them, but it is a great policy to have, and it's super inexpensive in most cases.
Okay, getting near the end here. Uninsured, underinsured motorists. One more time.
Yeah, absolutely. So uninsured is somebody who has no insurance. Underinsured is somebody that doesn't have enough insurance. So you're in an accident. Your passenger has $150,000 in medical damages or injury, and your policy may only cover you up to $100,000. Or that other person who hit you that caused the accident may only have $25,000. So ultimately, that additional medical has to get paid, and you want to make sure that you have adequate insurance to cover your occupants and yourself in the event you're hit by somebody with no insurance or just frankly not enough insurance. Florida is a great example of that. They're in Florida, they only require PLPD, which is personal liability, property damage. They don't require bodily injury. They don't require uninsured, underinsured. It's a very risky state to drive in with all the uninsured motorists that are there. So definitely protect yourself and your occupants as much as you're protecting somebody else that you could hit. And don't put yourself in a position to where you would have to come up with that extra money if you severely injure somebody.
Okay. Sure, go ahead, Ben.
For the invite I sent out to everybody, that so everybody knows that's Bill West's silver Corvette. The day I met him, he was driving home car show here in St. Louis, and an uninsured, unemployed person with a 3,500 tradesman van went right through a stop sign, sheared his car in half. Bill spent 10 days in intensive care, ruptured kidney, lacerated liver. His separated from the tendons, went through his skin and went through the dash of his car. They had to cut him out of the car. I had no insurance. Didn't have a job. The lawyer representing him got $1.4 million for a claim, but where are you going to go? Besides his own policy with State Farm, which was quite small. So I would really encourage people when you go home tonight, hey, talk to your agent. What is my uninsured and underinsured? And I'd ask Tony Stein, he's a practicing lawyer on the phone here.
Nice and easy. 1, 2, 3.
Tony, go ahead and unmute yourself for some input. But, that umbrella policy is really key. I got a $10 million policy. It's like $600 for the first million, $500 for the next million, $400 for the next, and $300 for the next. And then you get kind of drunk and happy on this stuff because it's only $300 for an extra million. It's like, well, give me another mill. But I picked that $10 million because I worked damn hard all my life. And I don't want to start over in an apartment complex. And I don't, if I cause an accident, which I could on a icy road on the way home, cause an accident, I don't want them coming after me and taking my house or my cars or all of my savings. So really look at that. And Tony, jump in here if you would, please.
Yeah, Bill, thanks a lot, and great seeing Adam. Let me first say that Adam's company has insured my C2s for many, many years. I currently have a policy with them for my 65 fuel car that I bought from Randy Rapp, and I think I see Randy over there hiding in the corner over there. How you doing, Randy? And they're also they cover my 66. Everyone has or talks about uninsured motorist coverage. The real sucker punch, if you're not careful, is the underinsured insurance coverage, because in Missouri you just have to have 25,000, 50,000 coverage as a bare minimum. It doesn't take much to have medical bills skyrocket well above that, and having your own underinsurance coverage is really vital. And I'm not just talking about your collector Corvettes, I'm talking about your daily vehicles. Go look at your policy and see what you have for underinsured coverage. Sometimes agents, maybe it's Allstate or State Farm or whatever, they're not really very proactive to push underinsured coverage because they don't really make that much for premiums on them. But boy, when you have it, it can make a big difference. And I also want to give Adam and his company a compliment. You, this whole discussion has been talking about coverage, but the one really critical thing that hasn't been discussed at all is what happens when there's a claim on your policy. And I have
Question.
I have a very close friend in Northwest Arkansas that has a gorgeous 63 fuel injected convertible. He had restored it, took it to the Oklahoma chapter, scored 99.3 on it. He was adjusting it at home, drove his car out, backed it out. His brakes failed, and the front nose of his car torpedoed the brick divider between his two garages and collapsed his nose. Think about that. And I'm not going to name my friend, but he made a claim on his policy with Adam's company, and by all accounts, Adam's company did a fantastic job of adjusting that claim. So it's one thing to buy insurance. We all have to have it, and it's smart to, have extra coverage. But what happens when you end up having to make a claim? No one's talked about that yet. And I will tell you, it'll, and nobody wants to have to make a claim. Nobody babies their cars more than we do, right? But I will tell you, at least in this one incident, Adam's company did a masterful job of satisfactorily adjusting the claim, and the owner of that car is very happy with how that turned out. So I do want to pass that on too.
Thank you. No, that means a lot. It's exactly why we do what we do, right? I mean, we sell a policy and hedge that in the insurance company world, they think, okay, we're going to end up paying this claim, and on your side, you're thinking you're never going to, I'm a great policy, I'm never going to have a claim, but where it comes down to brass tacks is what happens in that event. And last year alone we paid out over $11 million in claims. It was a pretty rough year claim wise, but we very rarely have any complaints. If there are complaints, we want to know about it, because if we can get involved individually as an agency and speak with the insurance company and go to bat for you, that's what we're responsible for. We're responsible to make sure that you're taken care of. And also on the flip side, if you're unreasonable, then we need to kind of bring you back down to, out of that stratosphere. But I've even, found NOS parts personally for customers who needed them to make their car correct. And so we're owners like you. We believe in this product, and we believe in you and what you do for the hobby. So I really appreciate that, Tony.
Absolutely, Adam. And great seeing you. And in addition, Adam is a tremendous supporter of the NCRS. His company was a sponsor for our Show Me Regional in July. In fact, he was the first one to step up and say, okay, I'll help sponsor your regional. He was the very first one to say yes. And I would add, we're going to have another one in April, Adam. So, I'll leave it at that.
Kelly has already reached out, and I've already confirmed. So we're good.
Kelly's a good man. Okay.
Yeah.
Great seeing you.
Likewise. Thank you. And to your point about the underinsured, not every state offers underinsured. Sometimes it's wrapped up into the uninsured piece. You'll just want to make sure that that your state does offer it. I can help answer that question for you if you just don't feel the appropriate answer. But and then also NCRS. Ultimately, NCRS is the reason why this museum exists, and so that those founding fathers of the National Corporate Museum were NCRS faithful. And so we are huge fans of what NCRS does and what they contribute to the hobby. And it's without a doubt, the reason why I have a job is because of NCRS starting this museum. And so I'm thankful for that as well.
Tony, I'm not fibbing to you. That was question 13, so I'm not a slacker, which was claims process. So I'm going to go one more on that, Adam. And if there's a claim, can we use any body shop, repair facility? DNA Carvettes happens to be one of our sponsors. So is there an issue on who we would use?
Absolutely not. No, you take it to any shop of your choice. You know the shops in your area better than we do. And so you take it to wherever you would like to take it. If it's the guy who restored the car, for you, they probably have the best experience to make sure it's put back together right. And then to piggyback on that, if it was a no-hit body and you don't want that one piece front end and its bonding strips are right where they need to be, then by all means we'll go the extra expense and make sure that it's correctly restored back to what it was like pre-loss.
Okay. Mike Hanley had a question to follow up on battery tenders, their usage, how it's covered. Anything else to add to that, Mike?
Got a car in your garage, you've got a battery tender on it. Is it covered the same way whether you have a tender or not on it?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's there's no lack of coverage because of a battery tender. My 69's got one on it right now. And so, yeah, no, there's no difference in coverage. We're big fans of, the last discussion that you all had, or one of the last discussions was on that battery tenders. We supplied some bags to place those in. We're big fans of those. You'll want to check with the manufacturer to make sure that bag won't be too restrictive and build up heat and then, cause it to either catch on fire, which we want to avoid, or to just kill the motors in that battery itself. But no difference in coverage.
Mike, is your question, if there's an issue with fire on your car, is it covered under your policy? Is that your question?
No, just basically as long as it's insured, I have a battery tender on it, and something happened, would it cancel out the insurance because I have a tender on it?
Okay, and I think Adam's answer would be no.
Not at all.
Okay.
I also want to thank Adam because we did have those bags. They're a fireproof bag. Maybe you could elaborate on that, Adam, at our last meeting, where you could put those tenders in this fireproof bag. He bought a dozen of them for our chapter, so thank you. But maybe you or Jim could maybe just talk briefly about the other issue is those. You catch you on fire? Or, tell me. Give us your 30 seconds, both of you guys. Battery tender bags.
Yeah. So the way this conversation first started with Bill and I is, we started getting several claims as a result to the battery tenders catching on fire. Come to find out, they were some of the older battery tenders. They weren't some of these newer smart battery tenders that have a lot more computers and chips and electronics built in it. So those older ones were a little bit more prone to catching on fire. So if you have an older one, I would definitely recommend looking at upgrading that. The bags are nice because they help, suffocate the fire, but they also do cause some undue stress on the actual unit itself. But I've used them for years, used them for many, many, many years, and never had any issues personally, but we did see an influx of claims, which kind of prompted that discussion. And I learned a ton in that last meeting. So thanks for inviting me to it.
Anything you have to add to that?
That's good. Any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, regarding the umbrellas, if you have insurance with another company on your daily driver, everyday cars, but we have our Corvettes through your company, would that company umbrella cover the Corvettes also, since they're not insured with that company?
So in most cases, yes, you'll want to verify that with your with your auto provider or whoever the umbrella is with. Typically, if we satisfy what's called the minimum underlying limits, then it should extend. My State Farm umbrella extends to my American Modern policy that I have on our 69. It requires 100, 300. No, I'm sorry. It requires 250, 500 for bodily injury, 100,000 property damage, and then anything over that, it extends to. We also insure my father-in-law's cars that are in Maine, that are in my wife's name, and in those we've just had to schedule on the umbrella policy itself. But have that discussion with your umbrella provider to make sure it does extend. A lot of times you'll find that insurance agents will tell you that it won't, but I would read the wording within the policy, that I would read the policy language itself. A lot of times it's an angle to try to keep all your business as opposed to losing a little piece of it.
Your umbrella policies, could you get a standalone policy through you, or do you have to have a vehicle?
No, you can absolutely. You can purchase a standalone umbrella policy, and we thank you for that. So no, it's absolutely, you can do that on its own. You do not have to have any other policy with us.
Adam, could you address diminished value and your feeling about insurance claims for diminished value?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Not all states allow for diminished value, so that is dependent upon the state in which either the vehicle's registered or where the accident occurs. And so you'll want to check with your state. I think diminished value is a great policy feature in the states that do allow it. If I get hit in my 99.3 judge car, then it's worth more money than one that is a 70 pointer or whatever it may be. But a huge fan of them. I think diminished value is really to the benefit of the person who was hit. If you have an accident and you cause the accident, you cannot claim diminished value. So it would have to come from another party that could hit you in order to take advantage of diminished value. And that's a discussion that you want to start having with that claims adjuster at the time of the loss. Don't wait until the claim is settled. You lose all your leverage opportunity if you wait until they've already paid out the automobile claim.
Your company go to bat people who are forced to file a diminished value claim with another insurance company?
It's a great question. I mean, ultimately, that diminished value is typically done between the party, the claimant, and then the other party's insurance. What we can do, and what we have done, is we have provided the declarations page showing the agreed value. We have even written a letter that talks about the vehicle itself and what sets it apart. And then we would recommend hiring a diminished value attorney to actually get involved in that to show comps in the marketplace that have a past and show the price difference between a car like yours to one that's been previously damaged, to show that change in value. That's a worthy investment, in my opinion, is to hire that diminished value attorney.
I got a question about cars that are in the process of being restored.
Yeah.
Can you get insurance or declared value on vehicles like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the interesting things, I mean, that would be more of a stated value policy, because if you think about it, sometimes your body will be in a different location than your chassis, or your engine might be at the engine builder if you're not doing it yourself. So with parts kind of scattered about, then we can absolutely put a under restoration policy on that. We would probably remove the collision coverage because it's not needed until that vehicle really starts moving. But yeah, absolutely, we can do under restoration. We have something in the policy called spare parts coverage, and so if you're purchasing all these parts, all these NOS parts, and they're in your garage, tornado comes through, Your homeowners are going to cover up to a certain threshold, but we can actually schedule those NOS parts and add that to the spare parts coverage. As you start applying them to the vehicle, we can then start increasing the value of the vehicle as you build the car out.
Does that require an inventory up front then of the
I
parts?
I don't want an inventory. I just want to know a guesstimate on the parts.
A lot.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it.
Thank you.
We visited NOS parts you were talking about earlier that say my Aunt Betty leaves me a lot of money and I've always wanted a 57 airbox car, so I go out and buy a done-tough car. So we know what we got here. Never own it, but I'm just getting that. So say somebody at the National foot slips off the clutch and backs into my no-hit car. So that's at the shop, and I tell the shop I want a Chevrolet. That's 30 or 40 grand just for the front end. And then we talk about the bumpers and all that. How's that? That's going to run the ticket up. Are they going to say he's a moron? We're not doing it. You get a shimmer shime and like it.
No, I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. Now, the other piece of that is what's the car insured for? Because there are total loss thresholds or total loss formulas in various states. So each state is a little bit different. In Kentucky, it's like 72% of the value of the vehicle that's damaged then deems it a total loss, and that's a requirement by the state, not necessarily the insurance company. So if that one part is going to be 40 grand and that puts you over that total loss threshold, you have to think, do you want that car to be totaled, or do you want it to be repaired? And so ultimately, if it exceeds that threshold or that percentage that the state deems, then you might want to think a little bit about, okay, what's that part truly going to cost? And then is there another option that I could look at? But yeah, if we have to get involved to get you that $40,000 front end and to make sure it's right, by all means, we're gonna go to bat for you.
Ready to wrap?
Buddy, out in the audience in Zoom, you want to unmute yourself and ask a question. This is the time.
There are two questions out here in the chat. Dino D asked, can you discuss driving restrictions such as pleasure versus what is not covered? So anybody in the collector vehicle space will cover car shows, club events, parades, pleasure use. And so taking the car to Corvettes of Carlisle, coming to Bowling Green, Kentucky, going for a nice scenic drive, going to get ice cream, coffee, breakfast, lunch, dinner, popcorn, meeting a bunch of car guys is all perfect type usage. Going out to on a nice cruise with your spouse or your friends, that's perfect for us. If the car is the primary transportation, if it's your only vehicle, we're not going to insure it. You'll want to keep that on a standard auto policy. If that car finds its way into a lot of, if that's your grocery getter, we don't want to insure it. We're not the proper policy for that type of usage. So we would recommend putting that on a standard auto policy versus a collector vehicle policy. But so the car shows, club events, parades, occasional pleasure use is super broad. But gladly drilling down into that if you have other questions on that. And then James West asked if I have a $2 million umbrella policy for my home and everyday automobiles, is it recommended to have a like umbrella policy for my collector cars, or does my insurance for my home and everyday cars cover me if I'm driving my collector car? So you should not have to have two separate umbrella policies, one to cover the collector vehicle and the one to cover the home and standard autos. Your home and standard auto policies will not extend to your collector vehicle. Home insurance, and a lot of people get this extremely confused. When you put your car away in the winter and you want to take off collision coverage or liability, your home will not cover your car. That is why there's a homeowner's policy, and that's why there's automobile policies. So that misconception of my homeowners is going to extend to my car, 100% false. it's the first thing that we're taught in insurance school is it does not cover an automobile. Now, the question I think you're asking is, does your umbrella policy from your homeowner provider or your standard auto provider extend over the collector vehicle? You'll want to have that discussion with your standard auto agent, the person who sold you that umbrella, to make sure it does. There are very few companies that don't extend us. We insure in all 50 states. Gary asked that question. We're in every single state. And then Kevin asked, do you insure antique cars that are not exotics like 93 Geo Tracker or 72 Triumph Stag? Absolutely. We can insure any type of collector car. What we deem as collector car, you may not think about as collectible, but everybody collects what they like, and we're absolutely willing to insure anything collectible. I think Andy had you wanted to make a quick point about safety in your garage.
Yes. Can everybody hear me? All right.
Go ahead, Andy.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay. We're talking about battery chargers and tenders, and I noticed that the cigarette lighter style plug-in, I won't name their name, but they get warm when they've been on constantly. My suggestion would be, if you have a long enough cord, keep it outside the vehicle so it's not lying on the carpet and the floor. Get some airflow around it. Or connect it to your battery and let it drop below the engine bay, depending what your car you have. Second point would be, if anybody has a trouble light in their garage, and I think we're all of the age where we use trouble lights, if they have a glass incandescent bulb, do yourself a favor, throw it in the garbage tonight. I was doing an appraisal for someone, and there was two brothers that loved Corvettes, had many of them over the years. These two fellows are lucky to be alive. The bulb slipped off. They had it hung on the hood latching hardware. It dropped, the bulb smashed, caught the fumes on fire in the engine bay, and literally blew the house off the ground. And these two fellows were picked off the lawn by EMS.
Mm.
That is how brutally dangerous that can become. So please, as a safety to yourself and your family, throw those old trouble lights away and get a LED plastic light for your own shop, and you'll never go through that unfortunate event. It was the saddest experience I've ever had in 45 years of being involved with cars.
Wow.
Great suggestion.
Absolutely.
Okay.
One other thought that just came about from that, if you can plug your battery tender into a Bluetooth type connector, you can schedule that thing on and off, and that way it's just not always on.
Yeah.
So super simple little remedy too.
Thank you, Adam, for everything. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Andy. Good seeing you.
All right, I think that's it. Adam, thank you very much for taking time out of your life. We appreciate that a lot. We thank you for being a sponsor for our regional. We also thank you for buying and being present at the last meeting on the battery tenders and batteries. Jim, thank you very much for all the hard work you do in putting these presentations together. It's greatly appreciated. And with that, I think I'm just going to call her quits. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adam.